Okay, this is Len Suzek. Here we go. It's been a little while since I've done one of these, and we're back in my office because it's January and there's no place good outside. We have a lot of snow out there and it's record cold out. So anyway, I want to talk. I'm interviewing myself. I keep doing that song. I'm interviewing myself about my new book, which is, surprise, I have a new book. I don't even have it in my hands yet. I'm so excited about it. It's got a great cover. This is a surprisingly interesting effort by myself because it surprised me. I'm not someone that planned on being a novel writer, and when I say novel writer, I just mean story. It's a story, and it's longer than a short story, but it's a short book, but it's powerful, and it's just, I had to talk about it because, so it's out there. If you look it up, Undercover Miracle Team. It's a fiction based on true stories, true miracles. And I have to talk about it because there's just so much amazing connection for people to have by this book. So if you think I'm not interested in fiction, think again, because it's based on true stories, true to each miracle that happens, and I really believe this could be a movie and a series. Where do I start? Each miracle that happens is based on something I have experienced or someone I know, and I just blended it into a story about this team of Christians who are all medical background professionals. And you start off the story where you can pretty much hear the war going on in the background. I should say I can hear it. I probably could have described it better, but it's so intense the way that it's written already that I felt like it would take away from the intensity of the miracle if I would make more out of the details. So it's a short book, and I could have made it a lot longer, but it's all about the miracles, and the message of the book being that people, it's just like a what if our emergency people, like emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firemen, nurses in emergency rooms, doctors, what if the people that were helping us during our emergencies were Christians? And how many of them are Christians? And how many of those Christians know how to pray for people to see results? Like what we teach here, Tony Myers, Andrew Womack, Curry Blake, speaking to the body, speaking life over the body. You're not asking God to do it because He gave us authority, and we have the power of life and death in our tongue. But if people that were actually most often in emergency situations where people are either already dead or they could be, and they need the power of God right then. What if the people that are already Christians learn how to speak life over people and see the dead raised, see people get miraculously healed right away, and Would they do it? That's the other thing about this story is the willingness. God's looking for willing people. He wants to flow through all of us. And the fear of, like in the United States, we're trained, with HIPAA and all that, not to pray over people unless they are also the same religion, or just not to pray over people. So you are basically breaking the law, breaking your rules by praying over people. If they find out you prayed over them, you could be in trouble, you could lose your job. It's all in the book. And it's just example after example of miracles, and there's just a small handful of what I know. So I was like, I'm gonna stop here. And when I read these, I tear up. It's the power of the Holy Spirit, and I didn't write it great. It was like powerful all by itself. The reenacting of miracles that have happened, it tears me up. And I read it to somebody else. She started crying. So, one of them. And I know I have an adult child of mine in the emergency room, and I know that it's like they're in medical. What's the balance between spiritual and medical, natural mind, and how do you go back? It's all in this book. They talk about that as medical professionals and Christians, and this is just one aspect of what I wanted to say about this book. And one of the things that happens too is in chapter 10. This is powerful. I'm in 7 minutes. I'm going to go a little bit longer. They're all real stories, including in chapter 10, I took my accident and reenacted it. The person isn't a girl, it's a different person, and what happens is pretty much very, very similar to, and even naming places, it's similar to what happened to me, where it happened and everything, and how it felt to have that accident that broke my neck and paralyzed right away. So that's in there. And what happens in this book is that the person gets healed, but not, it's like how they go about, it's like what should have happened to me. I got to live out through writing this what could have happened had I known how to apply my faith. And that doesn't mean it's too late for me or anything. As I wrote this, miracle after miracle, and experienced miracles, that's always effective. And any day, any minute, every fighting, instead of being passive and focus on life, and fighting and trying to move, is all part of healing. So doing it right away, though, if more people were aware, we would have a lot less quadriplegics. And the ones that do read this, you could get healed while you're reading this book. I'm not going to be surprised. I would be surprised if I don't start hearing people getting healed by reading this book. So I just wanted to introduce my book, Undercover Miracle Team, and explains why it's called that, and discussion between people. It's not a lengthy book. If you don't like books, you might like this one anyway. And based on true stories. And this is volume 1, because I would think I would be able to do several volumes, and I'm praying that someday somebody is going to want to do a movie on this. It's instead of, people dying, people live. So look it up, please. Not only buy it, read it, review it on Amazon. I want to get at least 100 reviews. So we'll see. The whole world can have access to this. And another thing, it's 10 minutes. I want this book to be in competition with Harry Potter. I want kids to be getting a hold of this book. So it's not a kid's book. It's just, it can be, younger, at least teenagers that are interested in the witchcraft stuff. This is not witchcraft. This is the real thing. Witchcraft is a cheap imitation of God's power. So I'm taking over where the church has lacked in introducing the power of God to people early. And children. Our children should be born again, spirit-filled, and wanting and desiring spiritual gifts early. Okay? Next time I talk to you, I'll have a copy of my book in my hand. See you later.